The help that we need in this time is in rest, because some of us are facing deep anxiety. Like this has us so anxious we can't breathe. We're so, like, some people are depressed and they're in the kingdom and they don't have a safe place to say, I'm overwhelmed by all of this. I can't, and they feel like they can't breathe. The solution for you is in rest. If you're resting in the Father, if we change out what we're sleeping in, you got to change bed partners. Sometimes that looks like turning off the TV and shutting off TV, well, TV and too, CNN. Sometimes we have to turn that stuff off. And we start posturing our hearts to get the news from heaven. What does that mean? It just means God begins to whisper things to you that says, you're going to live. You're going to make it. Everything's going to be okay. You have my peace, that I have provision. That's the news that we need to feed on. And when we get filled with that, if you turn the TV back on, guess what? What's inside of you, that can't drown out what's inside of you, because you're living from a higher frequency, because the frequency of heaven produces the vibration of heaven is higher. And so then we combat what we're hearing with what we know. So when they're saying, no, this is going to be the number, the death toll is going to rise and this and that. We can say, I'm not partnering with that. And I'm not going to come in agreement with it and say, all these businesses won't recover, all this won't happen. I'm going to partner with heaven, that God's a good Father and He's a provider. And we take in the news as a barometer to pray for, and to partner with God to release heaven over, as more than we do a barometer to live our life by, which leads to living in fear and panic and chaos. And
that is the word right there.
Yes.
Doc, this morning when I was in my car and I had gone to the website and I looked at the thing, that was what the Lord said to me. He says, what you're reading there, that's what I want you to pray concerning. Like this is, it's so funny that you said that, because that happened just this morning to me in the car.
Yes.
That's the barometer.
Yes.
For what to speak out into the atmosphere.
Yes. And when we catch that, Shay, what we do is we'll find ourselves praying with God as opposed to praying to God, for God. Because we're praying at a thing. We're praying at a thing. Some of us have made the virus of God. Some of us have made COVID a God, and we do more talking to COVID. And this is from the devil. This is demonic. That is straight from the pits of hell. And I refuse to spend more time speaking to a demon than I do speaking to God, because God, that thing has to come subject to the name of Jesus. And so what I'm saying is what God has said, that this thing has to die and we will have world victory, because it can't last forever. So I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking to it. I am partnering with God. God, what are you saying? Okay, this is what they're saying. God, what are you saying? Because when I hear what you're saying, then just like He told you, this is how you pray what you pray into, you get the strategy to how to pray to turn this thing around. Our words have power, and everybody's prophesying in this season. The news is prophesying. Listen, the news is prophesying, because if you listen to the news, they're not giving accurate things. They're saying it is projected that the toll will be. This is our projection. That is what our anticipation. So they're prophesying and they're trying to call something into existence. But the last I heard, the prophets of God, the frequency that we rise, that we walk under, what we speak is louder and has more vibration than what the prophets of Baal speak. And at some point, what news is news, but false prophecy is something else. So guess what we say in response to that? We say that the projected and the forecasted numbers is nowhere near what you are prophesying and projecting. We are projecting and forecasting that this thing stops and turns around. Some people think it's impossible, but I happen to read my Bible. I happen to get in the Word, and I have seen where things have come on the land, and in a matter of moments, when the people's hearts were turned to what God was saying, that thing halted in its track. And I am in firm agreement that we're going to start hearing, we don't know how, because the projected toll might have been 500,000, but there's no new deaths reported today. There's no new viruses contracted. We have nothing new to report. There's no new cases to report. We don't know what's going, but it seems like we've hit the wave of this thing, and now it's turning the tide. And they may not know how. And all of a sudden, guess what? When that happens, they come into agreement with what we've been saying the whole time. So instead of us as believers coming into agreement with what they're saying, and we keep telling, girl, did you see what they said today? Oh man, dude, they said this. No. We don't come into agreement with what they're saying. We come into agreement with what God is saying. And the more we say it, then you'll see this thing turn and now start saying what we're saying. And we don't understand how this is happening. This is a da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, it turns.
Come on. So good.